Hey, welcome Icy Yonders. Basically, this video will be talking about, what happened earlier this week with my mom. I'm not going to get too much into that because it's a touchy subject and we're working on everything as far as a relationship and working through the situation. But I want people to know that I am going to say the things that I'm saying because I have a voice like everybody else, and we should basically be telling our story to the world. And because everybody thinks that they're by themselves and thinks that, hey, you know, I'm going to keep this to myself because nobody needs to know about my problems. But it's not about knowing about your problems. It's about working through your problems. And if you can do that with people who have been in the same situation than you, that's great. Then you don't feel so alone and feel like, it's all upon yourself. That's why I do this. I do this because I've had people come out and talk to me about their situations, what they've been through. And it's been a lot of my family, a lot of family who feel like they've been like black sheep. And I just feel like I want to hear that, I want to hear that I'm not alone. I want to help the people that have been through it. Like, I'm going to help the best way I can. And if it's just lending an ear, if it's just basically, hey, listen, you're doing a great job, keep going, if it's just these little things that can get people going and feeling better about themselves, that's kind of what I want to do. These videos are to inspire people to talk out and against the abuse they reoccurring within their life. I don't want people to continuously be in this cycle of sadness, anger, because anger is a secondary emotion. We should be expressing ourselves, not suppressing ourselves. There's a difference. So let's get into it. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about these problems that I don't think only that I have. I think it's a thing that we all are going through. So you know what I'm saying? Let's get into it. All right, so we're back, and I just wanted to just touch up on the subject about like what happened with my mom. So I did post like a whole thing about it on Facebook, but I love my mom. That will never change. I will never disrespect her. I will never do anything that, might ruin our relationship. I did post that not to get on her bad side or anything. It's mostly because I want to show people, hey, this is what I'm going through. Like, this is crazy. Like, I understand that people are going through almost the same exact thing that me. So it's just that whole relationship that me and my mom have. That's kind of where my like root of my problems come from. It's not because of her. I don't see, this is the thing. I don't blame my mom. I do not think that she was the cause of any of my problems. I just think that our relationship is the way it is because of the things that had been said. Now, somebody can uplift you all they want. Now, when they say the things that hurt, that's what sticks with you. The things that hurt you the most as a child to their mother, it's like being told, like when my mom would say like little things to me. Well, I'm not gonna get too much into that because it's like, I feel like those conversations that we've had about like what she said are very deep, and I think it's best for another video. But as far as like the root of my problems would be, her not really giving me the chance and listening to me, and her not really understanding what I'm saying, but her interpreting it the way she thinks I'm saying it, but this is how I'm taking it. You shouldn't take it like this, because that's not what I'm saying. I'm telling you, hey, I love you, but I don't like being treated this way. If anybody knows about living with a Puerto Rican family, you already know. You already know the problems that you may be facing, okay? And especially with the old generation, it's just like they're taught like you are not heard, but you are only seen. And it's just like that concept should be going out the window in this day and age, because everybody has a voice. And from what I've been told, even my mom, she raised us to be strong, independent women and to have a voice, to never sit down and let anybody say anything, do anything to you. But at some points, I had no control over certain situations because of how old I was, and as far as, the state of mind that I was in. But I personally think our parents, are the ones who mold us and tell you to do the things that you're supposed to do, and are basically the ones who are supposed to guide us. Now, when you're in a Puerto Rican family, they will literally tell you, you can't say this because it's not right. But in reality, it's just saying feelings. It's now saying it the way that they interpret it is not right. Now, I just personally think that, if there's ways that both of the family members can talk where it's understood, then it would be a great situation. But 9 times out of 10, it's always misinterpreted. Like, the words that people talk about or the things that people say, it's just like nobody's really understanding because everybody's putting their egos and their feelings on the table, when in reality the person who needs you to listen the most needs you to literally put those feelings right here, hold on to them, and just wait, because not everything that was being said is bad. Now, I feel like sometimes the root of my problems is not having the clarification that I wanted, nor the situations that I've been in. Like, all I needed was somebody to listen to me and be like, I understand where you're coming from, and I am sorry. That's all I've ever needed. But now the fact that, well, I've been told you do not need to say all that because you're making me feel some type of way. I personally don't feel that I say anything to make anybody feel besides themselves. I only say, hey, this is making me feel this way. And all I want is you to say sorry. Like, acknowledge that you're hurting me by the things that you're saying is something very important to me. And I feel like with my Puerto Rican mom and my Puerto Rican grandma, like, they're very, like, my mom is different. But as far as my grandma, she's very set in stone. She won't ever, like, say she's really sorry unless, like, she honestly can't do anything but say sorry. So it's just like, it's avoiding being wrong, avoiding being the bad person or the bad guy in the moment. But it's not about being the bad guy. It's about understanding where you went wrong as a person and saying, hey, I understand what I did. It wasn't right. And I'm sorry that I made you feel that way. Sometimes it's more like, well, you shouldn't feel that way because that's not how it is. But in reality, it's just like, come on now. We need to all sit down, communicate our feelings, and understand one another. And it's very hard sometimes to sit down with the people that you love the most because they're the ones who will literally tell you otherwise. Like, no, that's not what it is. No, that isn't. But just listen to me, I feel like I haven't been heard for so long from my mom. And, like, that whole thing was basically me stating, hey, Mom, like, it's hurting me with the things that you're saying and you're doing. And it's just like, it's been years that it's just like not feeling that I'm being heard or listened to. And it's just like, sometimes I can see that she's sitting down and she's like looking at me. But it's like, sometimes when she talks, it's like, explain to me what I just said. She will explain it back, but in her own way, in her own thoughts. Like, this is how I interpreted it. I don't need interpretations. I need you to listen fully to the words that come out of my mouth in order for you to understand what I'm saying. Now, some people, I honestly do feel like they've been through their own kind of stuff, so it's hard for them to understand where you're coming from because they're only interpreting in their own reality. I feel like everybody lives in their own reality and interprets things in their way. Now, I just think that that's an egotistic thing to do. Like, just, oh, so this is what you're saying, that I'm a bad parent, that I'm a bad this. But in reality, that's not what it is at all. It's that you're living in a reality that is your own and not of mine. And that's fine. But all I need you to do is to take a step back, listen to what I'm saying. Don't interpret, listen. Actually open your ears to listening to the words that I'm saying and understand them. Now, sometimes I feel like that's very hard for people because it's like, when you're taught something, It is so hard to unlearn the things that you're taught. That's why we always have root problems, trauma that stems from childhood, because people don't unlearn the bad habits that our parents teach us. Now, I don't think it's bad. Like, I honestly don't think that anything my mom has done has caused me any negative backlash in the end, because I've outgrew that. I knew myself that I couldn't hold on to the things that was bothering me, because I was never going to be the person that I wanted if I was living the life in the shadows of everybody else. And that goes for even the ways of other people, living in ways that aren't healthy for myself. But I was so stuck on when I was a child, or even like when I was a teenager, trying to get my mom out of that mindset, you know? It's very hard for somebody who grew up with my grandmother, because my grandma's very old fashioned. And I even have a video basically her explaining, "Oh, you guys, you know, a new generation, it's different. It's different from what I know and experience," because it is. This generation is told that we have a voice and that we can do what we want with that voice, and nobody can stop us. So it's just like, sometimes I feel like older generations have a problem with that, because it's like, leave your problems at home, you know, leave everything that you don't want on the streets at home. But the problem is leaving your dirt at home, that's where you sleep. You know what I'm saying? When can you actually get a good night to sleep if you're thinking about all the stuff that you have to leave at home? It's sometimes difficult if you're not talking about the things that are hurting you the most. People don't have outlets. People don't have people to go to most of the time because they feel alone. And like, I honestly feel that my mom did everything that she could as a parent. I feel like, you know, she didn't do anything that was wrong. But as far as understanding and clarifying things, not getting angry, it's just, these are little things that we can work on as a person to better our relationships with people. And at times, it's not being worked on because I feel like older generations, it's more of a, I don't need to work on myself. This is who I've been for years, and that's who I'm gonna stay. But it's like, but you want those people in your life the most, but you're not willing to change even the littlest things, you know, even what you say, hurting people. It's just like, that's why I say it's like, I'll always love my mom. She's always going to be my number one supporter and has been. But I'm not going to sit down and say she hasn't like hurt me with the way she spoke to me, or everybody does, you know? Everybody in a relationship, whether it be with your parents and your partner, your friendships, any relationship that you're in, there is bound to be something that it's said that's hurtful. There's said, but it's your job and that person's job to come as one and talk about that, to talk about what hurt them so it doesn't happen again. But if it keeps reoccurring, it's like, why isn't there no change? Like, I'm telling you, you're hurting me. I'm telling you that this is bothering me. Why can't you simply state? Why can't you simply just do something a little bit different so that we can work together and be together and coincide with one another, just as one at sometimes, like understanding each other as one. But I think everything happens for a reason. I think, you know, a lot of my problems had stemmed from people abusing me, and it was a lot of family members and stuff like that. So, you know, a lot of suppressed memories that are just coming up, and I feel like a lot of people go through this. Like, they go through things throughout their life that like just bring back a memory, and it's like, is this a dream or is this reality? And it's just like, you know, I think a lot of my problems come from not being heard by my family and being shut down so much, and, you know, bottling everything up and not understanding the world for what it is. Now, I don't blame anybody for hurting me. I don't blame anybody for the things they've done to me. I don't do any of that because, one, I've forgiven anybody in my past who has like deliberately hurt me, because that's holding on to negativity. When you're holding a grudge, when you're holding something against somebody, when you're doing any of those things, you're hurting yourself. and I'm done hurting myself. So I've let go a lot of that and realized that people have to come to an understanding with themselves. Most of the time that they're talking about you're doing this and you're doing that, how they don't like this and how they don't like that, in reality it's the things that they don't love within themselves. And it's just like they've learned from society and their family. There sometimes you inherit the bad habits, the bad negative thoughts. You continue to do that cycle where you keep going, doing the same things and thinking that nothing's changing, but in reality the only thing that's not changing is you. You're not changing for the better for yourself. And sometimes we get somebody in our lives that's like, oh, they actually like they see the flaws, and it's just like, oh, I don't really see what's wrong. But when it's pointed out to you, it's like, that's not wrong. I've been like this my entire life. So it's just like we have to sit down and realize that everybody's hurting. I feel like hurt people, and I don't really give anybody the control over my mind as far as letting them hurt me and me not forgiving them. Now, this day and age, I don't feel like I will let somebody get that close enough to take control over that anymore. Like, I honestly, if I think you're an amazing person, or I think you're, basically here to help me, I'll let that happen. But it's just like, if we're helping one another, then that's great. But if you're not going to be in my life and benefit me in any way and just create negative paths in my future, I personally don't want that. And it's something that like I've kept quiet, I've kept to myself, and like lately it's been better. I've been secluded a little bit because I'm trying to get back on my feet, trying to get back to where I was before, mentally, emotionally, and it's getting there slowly. So I'm really happy for that. um my childhood was something that I struggle with deeply, but I've learned to not give people the power over that, the power over me, the power of my mind. So a lot of people took advantage, but I'm grateful for the experiences that I went through, because I wouldn't be as mature or understand or have the knowledge that I do now. So I just think that whatever trauma that you're going through right now, whether it be childhood trauma, actual life trauma, I think that you guys should talk about it. You guys should just start expressing your emotions, whether it's to me, whether it's to, your friend, your family, the world. Never feel wrong about telling something that you feel passionate about to the world. And for the longest, I always thought that it was bad thing, but I don't really think it's a bad thing at this point. It's like we have this whole platform to be telling our stories and grow our own business. Why don't we do that? Why don't we come together and help one another grow, But that concludes today, kind of, because I don't really want to talk much into everything, or I might cry. But I did want to talk about like my dreams for the future for my business. So I'm thinking about, in December is when I finally probably will get on my feet, and I want to do a launch for Christmas. As far as the clothes, I have different designs in mind. I've been drawing more, so that's been great. Like everything's just been lining up the way I need it to be. So hopefully by December, I will get a launch out as far as like new designs and clothes, and I'm really excited. Been pricing it out, been saving up, So hopefully by December, you guys will see some new merchandise, and I have my own place and everything. I'll keep you guys updated, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of this today was just talking about like my traumas as with my mom, and I feel like, we should be heard. That's my biggest stance for today. If anything, if you haven't learned a lot, learn today that don't blame people for the problems that, or situations that you've been in, because that gives the power over you to them. And I feel like, secondly, take responsibility as far as understanding where everybody's coming from. You know, take your own responsibilities. Now, I'm not saying that for the traumas that you've been through, but as an overall, as a parent, as an aunt, as a grandma, as anybody in this entire world, take responsibilities for the actions you cause other people and the feelings that you cause people. And 3, listen. Listen to your heart. Voice what you need to voice out. No matter how bad, how good, how anything it sounds, voice yourself. You have a voice and it should be heard. And I personally think that everybody should be doing something that they love and talk about. Even if it's not about your life, talk about something that you love and get it off your chest today, you know? So, love you guys. See you guys back. Next video, I will be giving out a surprise. You guys don't know, but, you know, I've been tired and everything. But I'm gonna put you in a little secret, you know what I'm saying? But thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate those who have been on here and giving me really good advice and explaining to me, hey, I've been through this and that. And, like, it really touches my heart. So thank you guys. I'll see you back next time.